Hello everyone, it's Splatty. Welcome to the second episode of my map building series. This is where we left off last time. This episode we will be doing a lot of detailing, and let's jump right in and let's make a lighthouse. Okay, let me try the smallest brush size, and let's start with this height. It can be a bit stronger, because what I want to do is just have like a lighthouse just looking into nothingness. Lighthouse, let's just drop you right in there. I want the lighthouse to kind of be built into the cliff like this, and we'll just add a bunch of rocks around it to make it look like one of those like super rocky cliffs. Gotta be careful with the sloping tool here, or smoothing tool here actually, because I just saw it dropping down a little bit. Right, time to add a bunch of rocks. Yeah, the more I'm looking at it, like, I feel like this is kind of okay, but the way that I've put these is just not it. And flip it a little bit, what happens then? Just maybe like that. Maybe it's the other one now. Yeah, but I don't like that it's then like... Maybe it's also just because actually it might just be because it's also just, oops, very steep. That could genuinely just be it as well. Let's try some things out. Oh no, the lighthouse is flooding. It's very strong, thankfully. I feel like that was it, actually, because yeah, I feel like that was it. Oh, not what I wanted. This looks acceptable to me, but the only problem is that now the lighthouse, before it was like, you know, like built into the cliff, and now it's not anymore, which is really a shame. So I will try and find a way to fix that. Oh, this may be because I actually just accidentally heightened it too much. Is that what happened? Because it should have been this height. Maybe I should just go higher on the cliff in general. Yeah, I will go higher and then just slope this up. And then, yeah, because this is exactly what I wanted, where it's really just built into the cliff. So let's just not mess with it too much now. So let's cover up the rest of the cliff with some more rocks. I am so pleased with how this turned out. I really love the palm trees that I built along the path to the lighthouse. Let's get going on the fort that you can already kind of see in the back. I decided to start off this design by angling the castle sort of off the cliff. I added these towers like they are watchtowers with the castle walls connecting them. I felt like a fort like this would not be complete without a cemetery to honor the noble family that lived here and maintained the castle throughout history. Despite this fort being a key feature of this map, it is old and slightly overgrown. And of course, this cliff needs a lot of rocks as well. And this is the final result. Let's go back up the plateau and make some changes to the river. Last episode I said I wanted a meandering river, but then I didn't really terraform it correctly, so let's fix that now and add some curves. Here I'm just fixing a leak to the Oxbow Lake, and let's move into building the highway now. I did not want one massively long bridge, so I decided to make an artificial island in the river, so it doesn't have to be extremely long. Because of the artificial island, I can also add a bend, and it just makes the bridge look a little bit more interesting in my opinion. I had already built out a couple of bridge spans when I realized it would be pretty cool to add a train bridge in the middle of the two highway pieces. I built the train bridge first and used this as a guideline for the two highway bridges. I am using the in-game terraforming tools as much as possible to get all the slopes and bridge and ground pieces put together correctly. I did go back later with Move It and the network multi-tool to detail some minor things. Building this train bridge over the top of the highway was such a pain. I should have used network multi-tool here already, but I was too stubborn and wanted to try the vanilla way. It ended up looking fine, but I did go back to alter it slightly with mods later. In this area, I wanted to move the rail inside the highway as well, but also create a train interchange to go into the future city. This too was quite a hassle to get sorted out. I struggled with it for a while trying to do it the vanilla way, and it looked questionable at best. I went back and finished the interchange and the highway bridges with network multi-tool and Move It. I did not want just a single highway from one side of the map to the other. I decided to add an asymmetrical highway road as an additional connection to the outside. This really gave me small mountain village vibes, but it also kind of feels like driving in northern Scandinavia. With the train tracks built in place, I wanted to detail a destination for these two. I personally love the old factory prop. I feel like every Vanilla City Skylines map has this factory with some diverging train tracks around it, and I am fully taking that design and plopping it down here. I just love the way it looks. It is a bit of a shame how limited you are in adding some other props around the factory. I would have loved to add old train wagons or storage sheds and a separate chimney, for example, but these little houses will have to do. Next to the factory, I wanted to add some other historical pieces. I built this as a part of a beach that was used for an invasion. It makes sense to do this next to an old factory, in my opinion. I added some bunkers and a cemetery to honor and remember the invasion. I added some trees and bushes to make it look overgrown but peaceful. Here I started experimenting with foresting the map. I love a well-forested map, but the way I put trees in this area is not something you can just copy elsewhere. I ended up running into the tree limit way too quickly. I really had to thin out the entire map with trees, but I kept this part densely forested. In the future, while building the city, it can be protected as old forest or a logging area, or maybe even both. Here I am making a patch of palm trees, short bushes, grasses, and flowers to copy all over the wetlands. My reference for wetlands is the Dutch dikes. There's loads of grasses, bushes, and some flowers. We don't naturally have palm trees, but I added them here to have more variance in height throughout the wetlands. Speaking of wetlands, I recently learned how Mumbai was developed, and it used to actually be 7 different islands. By land reclamation efforts, the islands became one big piece of land where they ended up building the absolutely massive city of Mumbai. I got inspired and decided to go completely crazy and build various swampy areas, a lagoon, and some islands into the bay here. I wanted this lagoon to be shielded from the city that will eventually be built right next to it. The lagoon is meant to be a little piece of tropical paradise, so I added some sharp hills with rocks, caves, and trees. Here I am going back in trying to make the swamp look okay. I'm thinking Florida swamps here. Little swampy and grassy islands and a strip of land with rocks to protect from coastal erosion. I will go back later to smooth it out and fix some rough patches. In the last episode, I talked about adding grassy patches in your cliffs as spots to make your foliage pop out. Here, I am making a patch to copy and do exactly that. I am choosing some pine and leafy trees with bushes and lantanas and my favorite flowery bush. I am copying and pasting these patches of forest with Move It to copy them elsewhere. The trick to not make it look too fake is to not continuously use the same patch to copy and to rotate before planting the trees. I usually go back in later to delete some trees to create different densities throughout the forest and make it look more natural. I have pasted some forest randomly all over the mountains. I'm going back in and removing all the trees pasted on the cliff texture. I am either deleting them or moving them with Move It to different locations. I wish I could have completely covered the mountain in pine trees here, but this is where I hit my tree limit previously, so I had to use the trees more sparingly here. Here I am deleting some of the trees in the main area by using a big brush with the low strength. I'm clicking my right mouse button to delete a couple of trees to thin out the area. Now we're really getting into the finishing touches. I'm adding some ore in the mountains and some oil in the bay. I'm also adding flight and ship paths in the map. And I wouldn't be Platty if I didn't decide last minute to add more water. I am terraforming a mountain creek from an idyllic mountain lake and I'm passing it under the highway. With a lot of pain in my heart, I deleted this part of the highway and decided pretty quickly after trying to build the bridge for the first time that I had to stop being stubborn and just bring in network multi-tool already. I am adding an interchange into our starting square and taking a picture for the map thumbnail, and we're done. Thank you so much for watching my build all the way through. I'm curious to hear what you think about my build. I'm super excited to get started on actually making the city in the next episode. See you then.